Make it mandatory to play Sims in elementary school, because you have to learn how to take care and work with people in Sims.
You really do, and it is a bisexual utopia.
Oh my god. Hi, girlies.
Hi, Jenny.
Hi, Bria.
How are ya?
You know?
Yeah.
How about you?
2025 is starting off to be fucking crazy, and it's only going to get crazier in my opinion.
I'm just glad I didn't get married in this year.
It could turn around. I mean, it's only January.
It feels weird off the bat, though. It's just like, even going into this year, from last year, I was like, I don't know about 2025. And I feel like everybody kind of feels that way, you know?
Imagine getting married during Trump's presidency. The vibe would be different.
I don't even really want to have a baby in 2025. I'll try to get pregnant, but like, I'm just like, that feels like wrong to bring someone into this world.
Ooh,
in this year.
It is dark.
No offense to anyone that's pregnant, but for me, I also have a thing about numbers. Personally, I think because I'm born on a even number date and year.
Oh, okay.
That I feel bad about odd number years.
Oh.
That's just me.
Yeah.
Just for me, not for anyone else. Like for me, I think I feel weird about it.
That's how I feel about, like, if I were to have a baby, I would never have one from January through March.
Like have it be born?
Yeah. I just don't like that.
You would have a Gemini?
I didn't want to offend you, but I will extend.
I was going to say like June through July.
I don't have a problem with April. I don't have a problem with April.
Taurus?
Yeah.
And what's before Taurus?
Aries.
Oh.
I don't have a problem with that. I can live with that. What I really love are the fall months. Late August through early December.
You would have a Sagittarius child.
Spot. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that would be an interesting challenge.
It's interesting. Those are some signs that get a lot of hate, you know?
I know, but your sign gets hate too.
I know.
My sign gets a lot of hate, and I feel like it's unwarranted because I love my sign.
Yeah, but I think people like fear your sign and hate on it. People just hate on my sign. They're like, oh, fuck that bitch. But I think people hear like, oh, you're a Scorpio? Like, you're smarter than me.
What? No,
you're conniving.
Okay, maybe that. People hear Scorpio and they're like, you are a manipulative little bitch.
But people hear Gemini and be like, fuck you.
I think people hear Gemini and they're like, it's like a weird creative person. Like,
really?
Kanye West.
No, I think people think they're fake or two-faced.
Yeah. I could see, from a social aspect. Yeah, I could see that.
That's what I get the most.
I get it. Today we smoked the Circle Sativa Expand Your Circle.
They're nice.
I am feeling it.
Yeah.
Fat ass blunt.
Fat ass blunt. It's a joint, but it's a fat ass joint. It is really big, honestly. It's crazy.
It is, actually. I was pleasantly surprised, but I love the little magnetic top here.
Yeah, we love a magnetic
the branding.
Thing.
Very iconic.
Lowell Smokes is also, that magnetic is really nice.
Yeah.
So what's really going on today?
What's really going on is that there is a lot of deep concern for the future of America. Pretend our caps are crinkling.
Yeah.
We're concerned, and we just wanted to start off the year on a positive note by basically lambasting the next generation. Now, if I know you Gen Zs like to cancel people, you get offended by everything. This might be offensive a little bit.
I think they would argue that millennials are offended by everything.
Ooh.
I think that young millennials are the ones that generate the wokeness. Okay, here's my theory. I thought about this as we talked about it. I think that the generation before us and so then we have the let's lay out all the generations. We have the boomers, who are like our parents in their 60s, basically the post-World War II babies. Generation X, who is born from 1965 to 1979, originally intended for the baby boomers, but then later used for latchkey kids. Generation Y is also known as Millennials, which is us, born from 1980 to 1994, and Generation Z, Gen Z, is 1995 to 2009. Then we have Gen Alpha, who is 2010 to 2024. And as of this year, we have a new generation, Generation Beta. And
Can you imagine being Generation Beta?
That's what my kids are going to be, which is crazy.
They're
going
to
get
roasted.
About. The silent generation is before the baby boomers, 1929 to 1945. I guess also known as the builders. They were born during the Great Depression in World War II, or they're the name for being the smallest generation due to the Great Depression in World War II. The greatest generation is the one before that. So that's all the generations. Today, we're mainly talking about Gen X, Millennials, and Gen Z.
And it's very interesting when you put those dates. It puts 94 at the end of Millennials. And I always thought that I was like in the middle of Millennials.
No, yeah. So I'm
on the edge.
We are younger Millennials, okay?
It goes back. Yeah, it goes back.
I think that we sometimes mistake millennial behavior, or at least in the beginning of, I would say, TikTok, because that's where a lot of this rhetoric really ramped up, as young millennial behavior. And Gen Z was just kind of like coming on the scene, I would say, in terms of like being vocal online during the pandemic. I think that our generation and in its wokeness is from Gen Z and the baby boomers, really just their passive aggressive or like innuendos that were racist, sexist.
You mean Gen X?
Homophobic. I mean, baby boomers were more like overt about it, but Gen X really, with all of the like movies that came out, American Pie, like, you know, the stereotypical like semi-satirical joke about like, you know, like in scary movies, like the black person would always die first. Like there was a lot of like that kind of like in overt racism and like sexism happening in their generation. And I think our generation saw that continuing to happen. Like when we were in high school, there was the rhetoric that started around like comedians being canceled for being controversial. Like that's when I think like cancel culture started to percolate, was like when we were like starting to become adults. And then we just like had it when we were in college and after college. And then we have Me Too. And then we have George Floyd. And I think like Gen Z was like, yeah, fuck that. Like fuck some of the shit that happened. And then cancel culture has spun out of control to where I think Gen Z now is like, you guys are a little too sensitive to us.
Oh my God.
That's my theory.
That's very interesting. I do remember like going to college, and that was when this like greater consciousness, when I was in college, we called it being conscious. Now they say being woke, which is another fucking word that has been co-opted. But that was when like I really had that like switch flip, like, oh, like this is what a microaggression is. Yeah. This is what, oh wait, like you have different pronouns than what you're presenting to me. Like that is where I think we all kind of learned about that stuff. And because we saw all of the pain that those communities experienced, we were like, we're going to burn a motherfucker if you go wrong. But it's interesting because I feel like when I was first getting on TikTok and seeing Gen Z on there, maybe I wasn't really seeing Gen Z. Maybe they were millennials, but it seemed like they were very kind of like in the midst of that 19, 20-year-old like switch flipping consciousness thing. Yeah. Like during the pandemic. I think that was like their moment, like their activation.
Yeah. And then I don't know, because maybe like the pandemic is such a like a quintessential time for so many reasons, but I also feel like maybe people were from all generations were being so woke, so overt, so cancel culture. And I say woke intentionally because now I feel like people are like, we can't take cancel culture seriously. We're canceling people for reasons that are ridiculous. And I think that there's also people like on the perimeters of what you believe in your generation that perpetuate you to be like, ugh, like enough, you know? Like I feel like in our generation, we're seeing like a lot of microaggressions, but we don't have the word microaggressions like when we were kids. Yeah. And we got sick of it. And then we were like, no, this has got to stop. We need to be more conscious. Like when I was in college, I remember seeing like a yearbook from 1992, which was like the year I was born. And there was like the KKK on our campus in college. And people were like, what the fuck? And that was like in Boulder, Colorado. And I remember seeing that and being like, oh, I don't think I realize, because I came from a very diverse city, how the rest of the country lacks the awareness and the education about differences in humans. And even myself coming from LA, like, I mean, it's such a segregated city. I didn't really learn a lot about diversity and different people's backgrounds until high school.
I was like that, but completely flipped because I went to high school in North Carolina. So I'm in the thick of like people still doing that shit. And even microaggressions, like having things being said to me and having things happen and like it feeling bad, but not knowing what it was. Mm-hmm. And then that awakening when I'm like, oh, like people have been coming for me because of this, which I also think creates low-key a bit of a paranoia because when I was in college I was like hyper aware like of everything that people were saying to the point where it was a little far, it was a bit much because I was just so conscious now of these things that had happened to me like my whole life.
It's so interesting how your perspective of the world will trigger things for you in different ways than it triggers other people. And part of it is maybe like for me, it's definitely like a privilege, right? That I don't feel automatically triggered by certain things that are said and like see it in a different way than like you might because of where
I'm sure there are things that were said to you growing up that you didn't realize were problematic. And then when someone, after you got that consciousness, you heard someone make a comment, even like an anti-Semitic comment. You know, I'm sure so many people said things to you when you were a kid that you did not realize.
High school, I think, was like the end of like people saying shit as a joke. Yeah. There was none of that after that. Okay. And like looking back, like I'm just going to say I don't believe them, but like we had a burn book in high school. I don't know if we've ever talked about that on the podcast. That like someone put together a burn book for our high school and they put me in the burn book. This burn book was like virtual on Facebook, but they had like a post with everyone's pictures or something, I think.
Like a picture of the pictures?
I want to say I remember it being like picture, name, person, but it might have been like name, description. And mine was like Jenny Levine and it said bleep his name. This guy in our high school is a Nazi and he is going to kill Jenny Levine because she's Jewish. And my dad was like, oh, we have a problem, school, and like went to the school and was like, this is crazy. At the time in high school, I just saw it as like, my dad is being over dramatic. No one's going to kill me at high school. Like, and everyone's joking that this person was a Nazi because he shaved his head and was from like San Pedro, but like, he didn't hate me like that. It was a joke. God. But he didn't take it as a joke. And if I was Mark Levine, I would not take that as a joke either as a parent because I don't have the context. But like stuff like that was flying all the time. Like, oh, you don't want to help pay for my pizza at school at lunch? Why? Because you're so cheap. Like a lot of stuff like that. But even also people who were Jewish were making those jokes. Like there were people who I went to school with who were black that would make jokes about black people that were stereotypes and jokes about Latinos that were stereotypes, and like no one corrected them.
Yeah. It's very interesting to see how that has changed. I think a large part of it is social media, and especially TikTok, because you're seeing so many different perspectives. But I think one of the worst things that has come from TikTok is the, for lack of a better term, whataboutism / like lack of resourcefulness. And I think that's coming from Gen Z. I'm just going to say it. I think it's coming from Gen Z. If someone posts a recipe for chili and you say, well, what if I'm allergic to tomato? I don't fucking know, girl. You can't eat chili. It's not going to be chili without tomato. Like, why are we commenting this?
Define whataboutism.
So,
right?
Yeah, it's, for example, like if I were to post, oh my God, I hate waffles. Like, honestly, I will never eat a waffle another day in my life. And someone commented like, well, some people are too poor to afford breakfast other than waffles. Some people have allergies and they can only have waffles. So why don't you think about them? It's like, I wasn't talking about anyone else. I was talking about me.
There's a lack of resourcefulness. I think that's a lot of maybe how they were raised as kids, but also like the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I think the new era of it is like you need to help me because I'm helpless kind of thing.
You know what else?
What?
You saying you need to help me because I'm helpless. It reminds me of Gen Z coming into the workplace and expecting the workplace to bend to them. When as millennials, we talked about this in our episode with Kara. We know you have to fake it till you make it. We know you have to be a fake ass bitch in the office. We know there are politics. We know that you can't wear certain things. We know that you can't tell a weird mythical story in your out of office email. Like, there's a level of, did you see that TikTok?
No.
This girl was writing out of office emails and she was like, hi, I will be out of office from Monday through Thursday. I will be on an adventure with the neighborhood squirrel, Adrian, where we will be going through the forest and the fields into the rainbow. And her boss was like, you need to stop writing the stories. Like, just do a normal email. And she was like offended that the boss had come for her.
Yeah.
And kind of like dampened her creativity.
Yeah.
But we expect that.
I think it's like maybe because we had boomer parents who were in this like world of freedom, free love, like do whatever. And then like they had to go get a job and then they had to like provide and like buy these homes and do all this shit, that then they instilled in us the fear of like making sure you succeeded. And also like a lot of immigrant parents are in that generation too. Whereas I think Gen X was tired of their generation before them and being like, you can be whatever you want. You don't have to be a doctor or a lawyer. You can be an artist. You could be a YouTuber if you really want to. Like, you know, like their generation is.
You think that Gen X is like open to that?
I don't know. I'm trying to think like, why is Gen Z so laissez-faire? Like,
I think that Gen Z does not have a lot of experience having to bend to those societal norms because of the work that millennials have done to like make that space.
Yes.
Like before Me Too, I'm not saying millennials did Me Too, but I feel like that's like a very big part of our generation. Mm-hmm. You got sexually harassed at work. You got sexually harassed. I mean, what are you going to do, you know? But us standing up and working against that, it was like, okay, like it's almost like us going to college and having that hyper awareness. It's like, okay, they can't sexually harass me. They can't tell me what to wear. They can't comment on, you know, stuff like that. And it's kind of like
we laid the groundwork for them to be too pushback.
Yeah, and like
or
individualistic in that sense.
Yeah. Which at first I'm like, God, thank God, cuz like we need someone to push. Like,
absolutely.
All the TikToks of people being like boomer, millennial, Gen Z in the workplace we are the most paranoid, neurotic generation.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because, and that has like caused Gen Z to be so laissez-faire. And I think to a certain extent, I'm so happy for that, because I feel like it's not good for us to be neurotic and anxious. But at the same time, it's like the pendulum has swung too far.
Right. Like cancel culture in the beginning, it's like, that makes sense. Like Bill Cosby did all this stuff. Like, yeah, he's canceled.
Yeah.
And now it's like gone so far that it is void of meaning.
Yeah. I mean, also, I think the other thing too that we were thinking about too is like with AI technology, they're the first generation to never have like tapes, and they grew up on the internet, right? Like we are the in-between generation of not to being on the internet, that everything is so easy for them. They can do all their essays on ChatGPT and not have to worry about it. Like,
nuts.
they haven't had to. They are so gonna come.
I know.
For me, when I say this, they have not had to work as hard to write a paper, for example.
To figure it out yourself.
On your own. Yeah.
Yes.
And part of I think like me figuring it out on my own, I chalk up to being an only child. But I also think it's like we didn't have certain things to like get an easy answer all the time.
We didn't have Google as kids.
Yeah.
There was no fucking Google. Like, you look that shit up and you find it.
Yeah, you had a TomTom. We had a TomTom as a kid.
Oh, I didn't have that.
Or a Thomas guide. A Thomas guide.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I look back at my childhood and I'm more of a MapQuest. Like, I remember printing out
Yeah,
the MapQuest or whatever.
My mom would still do that.
But you had to figure that stuff out. And don't quote me on this. I know that I saw this from a reliable source, but it was so long ago. I will try to find it. But the generations that grew up with technology in their childhood are statistically less able to solve technical problems. Whereas when we were growing up, we had MySpace. And you had to solve your own technical problem when your MySpace profile was broken. You had to go in the code, bitch.
Yeah, you were a coder.
Yes.
MySpace taught you how to code.
Yes. And now we have something like TikTok where literally all you have to do is download it. The camera's in there. You can edit it in there with your finger. Like, it's never been easier.
Or not at all.
Or just post it. Trisha Paytas style, even if she's a millennial. But just post it, you know? It's so easy.
I think and I know this is going to be backlash on us, but I feel like the gap that's missing, and like low-key why I think Trump got reelected, is I think that the divide, first it started the divide between millennials and Gen Z was how we parted our hair. And we were like, what the fuck? I don't feel like we ever heard the generation below us clap back at us that hard until that started. And then ever since then, the divide has gotten more. The way that I feel like it feels to me is like we look at them as being less educated because of the pandemic, because of technology that has made things easier, etc. And I think they look at us as being extremely righteous, sensitive, and like lack of transparency.
Also, like, I think they see us as elitist.
Yeah. This is the whole problem between the Democrats and the Republicans. Yeah. And I see them falling into this more it's not conservative. It's like
working class.
Yeah. They're falling into this like, well, I can understand what Donald Trump is saying, but I don't know what Joe Biden is saying at all.
Yeah.
That
and
might
not
be
even because of the vocabulary,
dying,
but I think it's because of the mumbling.
Right. Like, or even like Barack Obama, who is like an Ivy League graduate, who is so well spoken, one of the probably best speech givers in our lifetime. If you're not like somewhat educated and you're hearing that man speak, you're gonna be like, I don't know what he's saying.
It sounds too nebulous because it's not like a specific tangible thing. Like, I think that Trump talks like a person and not a politician. Whereas as a politician, you have to be very careful about what you say. And I don't think that Trump is careful at all.
Yeah.
And it's refreshing.
Mm-hmm.
It's honestly probably refreshing because it's like he makes me feel like I'm involved.
Yeah.
And I always feel like I've been shut out by the other side.
Yeah.
So I get that.
Yeah.
I wish that wasn't the case, but ultimately, like, policy-wise, he is not helping you. Unless he brings back TikTok.
Right. But see, like, the young voters voted for him. That's what's so fascinating to me in all of this conversation about Gen Z and millennials, that the future generation voted for someone who is so polarizing. And I wonder if it's solely because people got money during the pandemic.
That is absolutely part of it.
Yeah.
And you know what? Donald Trump, for as annoying as he is, he's really good at marketing. And when those checks were going to go out, they aren't from him. They're from our Congress. Thank you so much. But he was like, put my name on that shit. And now everybody thinks that Trump wrote them a check. Mm-hmm. And you know what? Who doesn't love a stimmy check? It's the marketing, y'all. You're falling for the marketing.
Yeah.
But it just is very interesting to see that turn because growing up or like seeing Gen Z kind of like blossom into young adults, I was like, Gen Z is going to save our ass. They're going to say they are so conscious. They are so smart. They know everything that's going on and they're very progressive. But the voting record and even like the rhetoric sometimes is like not at all.
No, they're so aggressive on TikTok. It's like, relax. Like,
very aggressive.
It's like you almost have no sense of humor, but then they would say the same thing about us, that we're too sensitive.
Right. But they can't understand sarcasm.
Yeah.
They can't. I get so many comments, y'all. I said in a video that Lele Pons, who's like a Viner who is not funny. Oh. Love her?
I love Lele Pons.
Okay. Well, I said that her comedy was amazing. I said it very dry. I said Lele Pons was comedy gold. And the number of comments I've gotten being like, you really think she's good? I'm sorry, this is a Lele Pons hate video. What the fuck are you talking about?
Why were you hating on her so much?
I was telling a story about how she deleted her best friend's YouTube videos because she was getting more popular than her.
Who?
Amanda Cerny.
Really?
Oh, yes. And her Instagram posts and her Snapchats.
What?
It's a whole thing. Go on my TikTok.
Oh my God.
I missed
those videos.
Yeah.
When was this?
2016?
No, when did you post them?
Oh, I don't know, like when I started getting banned. November.
I was more preoccupied with that.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Because Layla has an interesting story with her mental health and everything.
Yes.
So I
went deep in the research for that. Yeah. She is a fellow OCD girly. I totally get it. But that was fucked up what you did, Lele. That was very fucked up. But my point is that like people don't get like dry humor. They don't get sarcasm. And I think that the algorithm of TikTok and that sort of like For You page is being taken very literally. You're not seeing the internet in chronological order. I think a lot of people think they're seeing it in chronological order. And not everything that shows up on your For You page is for you. Right. You might see something because the algorithm doesn't know that you're allergic to green beans. Yeah. So you might see something with green beans. Yeah.
Like Heidi Montag posting her lighting a fire, which by the way didn't even look like it was in the Palisades. It looked like it was in Santa Barbara. Yeah. And people are like, this was not a good move.
Tone deaf much?
Yeah. It's like she posted that 3 days before the fire. The same thing happened to me when I posted my video about Hawaii and people were like, fuck you. There are fires going on in Lahaina right now. I'm like, that video was posted 3 days ago.
They're like, stop visiting Lahaina. It's like, help. This is not look, this is the problem with TikTok. They need to add the date on the videos.
I know.
They need to add the fucking date.
Yeah, because I always I'm like, wait, when did this video come out? And I have to go to their profile and then see what I just watched and be like, oh, this came out. Yeah, that would help a lot.
Note to TikTok. please add the times.
Yeah. I think for the future, bridging the gap between millennials and Gen Z is key for our success.
We must be united.
No idea what Gen Alpha is thinking or doing, but clearly some millennials are raising Gen Alpha, so we'll see what happens there.
I don't know if millennials are like helicopter parents or if they're like, we don't give a fuck parents.
I think they're helicopter parents. I think I remember listening to the Daily. Well, did you know like our what is it? Our general surgeon, I think, the person who's in charge of our health and like putting out health warnings for things, literally put a health warning out last year about being a parent and saying that parenting is caused to stress and it can be bad for your health. And then the Daily podcast, the New York Times, like went into that. Like, that's weird. Like, not on cigarettes, not on like alcohol, like on parenting. And basically what they've found through research is after the 1970s, after parents have become more and more helicoptery, or like it's again with the generations, like some parents were helicopter parents. Now I forget what they call these parents, but there's so much criticism on parenting that people are hyper aware of how they're presenting themselves as a parent, which is causing a lot of stress.
Ooh, that is stressful.
Yes. It's a really good podcast. Go listen to it. I can't remember all the details, but that was essentially what they were talking about, is that like the more parenting was never a noun until like after the 1970s.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you feel like for your Gen Beta, do you feel like you would be more of a helicopter or more of a Gen Z affirming parent?
I think with any parent, as someone who's not a parent, there is some way you're going to fuck up your kid. Your kids are going to be traumatized from you. Whether that is being too harsh or not harsh enough. And it's trying to find that like middle road that I don't think exists, honestly. Or you can try really, really hard. Because like I see people who I'm like, wow, your parents, they're amazing parents. They're amazing people. But like you are not at where all of us are, like in terms of
you're talking
like,
about you see millennials that are like that?
Yeah, like or like their parents were so fabulous. Like if we were gonna be like them, their parent, like it's the younger boomers,
okay,
you know, that are like that are like borderline Gen X boomers, but then themselves they're like don't have all their shit together. So almost like the trauma, fear makes you stronger in a way, which is horrible. So to answer your question, I don't really know. It just depends on what kind of kid we have. Because if we have a kid who is pretty easy, then I feel like I'll be an easy parent. If we have a kid who is difficult, Nico is going to be a very difficult parent.
Okay, so either way, you're going to be an easy parent.
I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. I don't think we'll know until I have the kid. But I think my intentions going into it, I want to try to come at it with curiosity, compassion, and like kindness to them. You know, like I see this with our niece and nephew. If something explodes in their life or if they have a traumatic or a reaction to something, I'm like, okay, let's sit down and like, let's try to figure out why you feel like this. Like taking the time to help explain things. Does that answer your question?
Yes. I feel like our generation just got in trouble.
Yeah. Or it would just be like an instant, like flippant reaction. And it's like, okay, well, why do you feel triggered by what I've experienced this with my niece. Like if I walk into the house, like one time I walked in and I was like, where are all these boxes from? Like, what are the boxes from? I don't know. I'm like, okay, what's going on?
What's happening?
Yeah, what's going on? Because it's not about the boxes.
But see, to do that requires emotional intelligence that is learned over time. And like, I don't think that our parents' generation necessarily learned that. And therefore, you know, we all had to learn it later. At least I did. Because I didn't have my parents sitting me down and being like, how are you? Like, you're being really snappy. What's going on? It was like, fix your face.
Yeah.
Or I will fix it.
For you.
Right. Like, there was no emotional. I remember telling my parents when I was a teenager, like, they caught me with weed and I was like, I smoke it for my anxiety. Like, I am anxious as fuck and like, it just chills me out. And they were like, you do not have anxiety. You are just trying to be high. And I was like, I'm never telling you anything again.
Yeah. That's so real.
Now, if kids say they have anxiety, it's like, okay, we get it. Like,
yeah,
I understand that this in me is anxiety. So I know what that's like. And hopefully with, you know, therapy and life experience, I can help you figure it out.
Hopefully we can be those intellectual parents to reduce the generational trauma.
Yes, hopefully.
Hopefully. That's what I hope. Is I aspire to be like, shout out to Virginia, Maddie's mom.
Oh, wow.
She
raised an amazing woman.
She raised an amazing woman. She is an amazing woman. That's a duo, a mother-daughter duo that I aspire to have with any child that I have and she's done the work. She's a school counselor. She sees the signs. She knows how to educate Maddie in a way to be extremely emotionally intelligent.
Which is very particular also to the child.
Yeah.
So it's like having that experience with a bunch of different kids really changes it.
Yeah.
Shout out to, Maddie is a very emotionally intelligent, level-headed, like, she's a good person to have around in an emergency. I can tell you that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When Sienna's dress had that stain, she was like, okay, let's Instacart some club soda. We're going to do what we can. If we can't figure this out, we're taking it to the dry cleaners at 7 a.m.
That happened. I didn't know the club soda problem solving occurred.
We were attempting to fix it the night before.
It sounded like Emma straight away was like, you're waking up at 6 a.m. to go figure this out. And then,
well, Maddie's like, you know, she knows how to use a fucking, I don't know anything about stains. She's like, some club soda, dab, don't rub, like, and we can do this. And then if it's not working in the morning, just take it to the dry cleaners. It's okay. She never has to know. I'm like, damn.
You should have seen the morning of her wedding. It was like peaceful. And you know who was keeping that peace was her mother. Her mother was like, I'm going to make everybody lunch. I'm going to make Maddie's favorite lunch. I'm going to make her chicken salad. Maddie likes this. Maddie likes that. Da, 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 da. And I was like,
prime.
Wow.
Prime situation.
That's growth right there.
That is growth.
Mm-hmm.
May we all be more like Maddie's mom and Maddie.
Jenny. She goes by Jenny.
Love.
And I'm pretty sure she's Virginia, which she probably doesn't like that I said.
But love. I love the name Virginia.
Yeah.
I feel like it's very classy. So shout out to Jenny. She's going to be like, what the fuck?
I know. She's going to be like, please. Actually, we might just need to bleep their last name. Okay. Our high idea of the week.
Mm-hmm.
I think one thing that could help besides breaking generational trauma is bringing back Hooked on Phonics.
Yes.
For the children.
Bring back Hooked on Phonics. Take away ChatGPT.
Fucking Leapfrog. Honestly, like, I don't think Leapfrog is as successful or helpful as Hooked on Phonics. I learned some shit.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, let's bring back Out of the Box that opened my world to diversity.
Oh, love.
Mm-hmm.
I
learned a lot.
I loved those, like, computer games where you had to add stuff up to get the spaceship out and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was Type to Learn.
Oh, was it?
Did you have Type to Learn?
Type
to Learn was like games on the computer, but it like helped you learn how to type faster.
Oh, like Shark Type. Shark typer.
Oh no, I don't know what that is.
Oh,
that's
it was like
probably
you had
my
to-
type to learn.
You had to type the words on the sharks before they made it to the surface to bite the people in the water.
Yeah.
We need to bring back those computer games.
Yeah.
Gen Z is not playing enough computer games, educational computer games, and we need to do that.
Yeah, like Barbie riding horse. You had to take care of a
Love.
horse.
Corporate Barbie. Love. Barbie vet. Loved.
Honestly, and I think maybe we even make it mandatory to play Sims in elementary school, because you have to learn how to take care and work with people in Sims.
You really do, and it is a bisexual utopia. So you can be free to explore anything. Honestly, playing The Sims as a child, I was like, I never want to be a politician.
Oh my god,
It was the worst career on there.
yeah. I also was like, God, marrying someone, I'm gonna be rich. Like,
It is so easy to make money on this.
I was like, when I remember before Motherload was a thing and I like finally got married on Sims, I was like, we are rich. We're buying everything.
Yes, girl.
And we
Get that hot
were.
tub. Yes.
Yes.
I loved it. And honestly,
the
it
woohoo
teaches
bed.
you the vibrating woohoo bed
Yeah.
was everything. And it teaches you to take care of your children or else CPS will come get them. So it honestly teaches you so much.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think Gen Z plays The Sims a lot.
We
but
need those kind of games, not like first person shooter bullshit. That's
what is that game that they all play?
which one? PUBG?
Where they kill each other? Fortnite.
Oh.
What
yeah.
does Fortnite teach you, really? Fortnite
Dance-
stresses me the fuck out.
dances.
Y'all need less games that stress you out, I think. Your game is supposed to make you have fun, not
Yeah.
like raise the heart rate. Anyway, we hope you take this advice and don't take it personally.
Yes. Take this with a
Prove
grain
that Jenny's
of salt.
right. Prove that Jenny's right and that
Yeah.
you don't give a fuck about anything. Okay?
And also have a little humor.
It'll
A little
take you far.
sarcasm.
It'll take you far. Social cues.
But if you
yeah.
hate this video, just fucking comment the shit out of it.
Yeah, let us know how much
Just
you hate it.
really just let us know.
And I'm going to challenge you to put your thoughts in a coherent sentence with punctuation and perhaps in something with a beginning, middle, and end. Something with structure.
Yeah. I struggle with that sometimes myself.
We're fine.
But that's where the internet comes into play in my childhood and typing and all that.
Oh.
Because you
Oh,
can
yeah,
just
because yeah.
autocorrect.
Well, also like typing in shorthand.
Yeah.
So true. Okay, follow us at High Girlies Pod everywhere and rate us and review us on Apple Podcasts. Do our polls on Spotify. Leave a comment. Follow us.
What do you want to see us talk about?
Do you want us to talk about you know who?
Who? Luigi. We kind of have.
Not really.
What do you want to say about Luigi?
A lot.
Like what?
I don't know. I just want to follow the case.
Do you think he did it?
I don't know.
Some people think that's not him in the pictures on the street.
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm unsure.
Yeah.
I can't say definitively that it was him. Let me just put it that way. So reasonable doubt for sure.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it is sending a message. Hopefully the message carries, but
More to come.
with that,
Bye,
girlies.